Hi everyone, today let's talk about Metaverse. If you've been watching this stock, you would know that Meta has been underperforming the market quite a bit, and it continues to do so just a little bit. And there's certainly some reasons why it continues to lag the market, but perhaps it is a buying opportunity at this point, so let's take a look at the bull case. Then of course we'll take a look at the technical picture. Then of course we'll take a look at the option chain and some potential trades for the upcoming week or potentially after earnings. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this as well as portfolio overviews every single week, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So let's start with the bear case. Meta did lag the markets towards the end of the week. They say here, the stock traded down slightly with the S&P rising 0.4% as they announced a digital currency plan, but investors didn't really seem to care. They said that they're trying to generate the next generation of virtual currencies, which they call Zuckbucks informally, which is hilarious, by the way. They say this would act similar to Robux, which is the in-game currency that Roblox uses in their ecosystem. And the article cited several different tokens like social tokens, reputation tokens, or creator coins. It's obvious they're trying to take advantage of the digital currency world, but investors didn't seem to care. They also scaled back their stock buybacks from $19 billion in fourth quarter of last year to $7.5 billion this year, which obviously is going to weigh on the stock. Anytime the company is buying less of its own shares, it has to rely more on the public to drive up that stock price. And this is despite the fact that the stock fell 34% so far in 2022 from around $323 to around $238. So let's move on to the bull case. Why is Meta a buy now? For key points, they say Meta is trading at a 50% discount to the broader technology sector, and they say the company's metaverse opportunity could be worth $30 trillion over the next decade, which is obviously an obscene amount of money. So if even a drop of that comes to fruition, this stock will be worth significantly more over the next decade. They say Meta Platforms owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and is currently staging a recovery from its tumultuous period. Stock bounced 18% over the last 10 days, which is obviously pretty aggressive, and there's certainly concern that it could be headed back towards the 52-week low. This is after the stock is already down 51% since September of 2021. So getting into that bull case, they say the stock is very cheap. The company generated over $100 billion in full-year revenue, which is a massive leap from the $3.7 billion in revenue that Meta delivered just a decade ago. They made 46 cents per share in 2011, which is now up to $13.77 last year, meaning that its earnings multiple is at 15.5, which is less than half the multiple of the technology sector at 32, meaning that this stock historically is very cheap and is also very cheap compared to its competitors across the technology growth sector. If the metaverse platform actually generates as much growth as it's supposed to, this will mean massive growth for Metaverse, despite the fact that they did lose $10 billion in revenue to the metaverse platform. They say this is a disruptive technology and could potentially change how we interact socially and even how we do our jobs. Those with a really strong bull case say the metaverse will be worth around $800 billion in 2024, growing around 13.1% each year, which would be somewhere around $1.6 trillion by 2030, or potentially that $30 trillion number that they mentioned. Again, either way, if any of this growth comes to fruition, Meta platforms will be worth significantly more over the coming decade. Since it's been a while since I've looked at Meta platforms, let's start all the way out at the monthly chart. All the way back here to September of 2012, stock was trading around $18 and has since rallied pretty aggressively all the way up to around $380 in September of 21, which was its all-time highs. You can see this big long-term trend line that had been sustaining it pretty stably for a while. And then we had the lows here in 2018 with that little sell-off, dip here in 2020 for COVID, and since then it rallied aggressively into the downturn that we've had recently. You can see how strong that down move was here in February of 2022. And getting a closer look here on the one-day chart, you can see here the highs in September, slowly downtrending, and then we basically fell off a cliff at that resistance point all the way down to $245 per share, a little less than a $100 drop in one day. Then we trended down a little bit further, all the way down to around 185. And since then, we've had that 18% rally that they were talking about, until we topped out around 236. And since then, we've retraced a little bit of that rally, and we're currently sitting above this trend line here, little bit of support. We've had an interaction over the last 2 days at that 220 level, which is only 1% lower than we are right now. If that holds, there's certainly some potential for upside up to maybe 255, which would say to me that we're going to interact with this 144 EMA, which would be somewhere around 275 if we did retest that moving average. This certainly seems a little bit extended here in the short term, in my opinion. Looking at the risk here, if this trend line does break down, we have that next level of support, somewhere around $190 per share, again, which would potentially generate a double bottom with the previous low here. Or we have that intermediate point around 211 or 212, which again is just below that support level, and also here at the 50 level for the Fibonacci. Certainly a potential we could go there before continuing back upwards. This does seem like a pretty impulsive move and a potential to change the trend for Metaverse. And if it is undervalued the way that the previous article mentioned, this seems like a pretty decent spot to be averaging in. Quickly looking at the tasty charts here on the 4-hour, just so we can understand the shorter time frame here. You can see we have that 144 EMA on the 4-hour chart sitting right at 220, again, right at that support level. We had that one interaction, the bounce, and then we're coming into that level potentially again, which is on that lower ATR band. If we did get a nice push up to that upper ATR band, somewhere around 230 or 235 would be a pretty decent range to start taking profits on the 4-hour chart. Similar to the move we had here in April before we hit those highs and then created that lower low. Moving over here to the option chain for the next 4 days. For the next 4 days, you can see you can get around $3 for the at-the-money puts for the 220 strike. So $2 lower than it is right now, you can get around $3. This could certainly go down or change as this is the ending price on Friday. So you may not be able to get this price on Monday, but this is what it closed at. And it should be fairly similar at the open, unless we get a nice rally after the dip that we had on Friday. I will mention that the earnings is on April 27th after hours, so you could go out one further week to April 22nd if you wanted to avoid those earnings, where you could get a little bit over 2.5% over the next 2 weeks, or $5.30 credit or so for the at-the-money puts. And then if you go past April, maybe out to 20 May here, you can see this is 40 days to expiration, and you can get some pretty decent credits in here. $12.45 or so. Or if you wanted to get a little bit closer to that lower level, potentially the support level, which was around 190, you can still get $3 credit for that to buy the stock at that lower support level, or even 200, which could potentially be stronger support with that nice round number. Still looking at $5.50 to buy the stock, significantly lower than it is right now. I also want to mention volume here, big volume at 195, which to me says that's a pretty strong level of support. 230 has big volume here on the sell side, and then 250 definitely big selling volume, similar to what we see here at 195. For short-term volume, decent volume here at 200, really 210. However, the volume right around the at-the-money puts is still pretty strong on the put side at 220, and then the call side here at 225. With 230 being the biggest volume here at 19,000 open options. For me, I've been trading these short-term options, and I'll probably stick to the weeklies, and I definitely won't hold over the earnings, as Meta has been pretty volatile around earnings. Let me know down in the comments what you think is a good buy level, or if you have any ideas for these options that you would like to trade. Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, as it really does help get my content out to more people and potentially help them make some more money. Definitely hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, and have a great day.